Alright, well there's some of the leaves and stuff that I'm going to try to get up. See how it goes. I don't know yet, but I've got a lot of them, you know, so we're just going to see. Let's see if we can get them all up, or at least most of them. So I just cut my grass, so now I'm going to try to get up these leaves. Well, alright, we'll start up at the front, and these are some of the improvements that I've made, or you know, just little changes that I've made and problems that I've found that I had to correct. So anyway, I've changed these bolts out here so that they come out with a wing nut, so it makes it really easy to put this thing on and take it off. But yeah, sorry about my body work. It's not that great. I tried to use Bondo, but I'm not good with that stuff. So I apologize for the way this paint looks, but that fiberglass will be protected pretty good from UV. But as we come up the hose, you can see here my tires rub. My tires really rub against this hose. Well, what I did to prevent it from tearing the hose, I put PVC around here, and all I did was I heated up the PVC and formed a half circle. It comes from about here to about halfway around on the back side, and that gives the tire a rubbing surface so it doesn't tear my hose up. So and I just duct tape that on. I will be trying to come up with another way up here to hold the hose out away from it, but for right now that's working great. I've actually done my yard a couple of times with it. Up here you can see I've done the same thing with a wing nut to hold this on, and all I did was weld a nut on the bottom of this housing right here, and now my wing nut is welded to a bolt that goes right into that nut. Okay, now my Predator 212 right here, you can see I've turned the muffler facing away from me. I actually had to angle this. You can see how tight that is right there. I angled that exhaust up and used a 3/4 inch plumbing pipe to run my exhaust up here, and turn the muffler 90 degrees so it's not blowing in my back anymore. Now, as we get to the impeller here, I wasn't really worried about paint. I just wanted something red on there to let people know there's danger. Okay, so I just kind of oversprayed it red because I was running out. But if you look here on the top of the housing, you see this big dent. That's because one of these impellers ripped off of that back plate. Well, actually, it ripped. I'll show you that here in a minute. But it ripped. It hit up here. First of all, it hit the stripping edge inside up in there. I hope you can see that. But it hit the stripping edge right up there, and it hit. Then it hit here, and then it went through the back of my cage and hit here and here, and it landed in the pile of grass and leaves and all that I was picking up. But what was really weird was that I noticed that it had actually ripped the steel like a sheet of paper. It wasn't ripped on a weld or anything like that. It ripped from this edge right here, from the edge of this back plate up and out like that. I'll see if I can. Okay, this is the one that ripped here. And you can see where I re-welded it, and it came all the way up to the top right here. And well, I repaired that one, and then I noticed that it was happening on every one of them. So eventually every one of these would have ripped itself apart. This thing literally tore itself apart. It's spinning 3,800 RPMs, and it's trying to move so much air that it was more than that could handle. But anyway, I fixed that. I went back, I dremeled out, or I angle grinded out all of the cracks and re-welded them. And you can see where I did that. It's kind of ugly, but I've used it several times since, and it's held up fine. But probably a better idea would be to make this back plate here bigger. I made this one 7-inch. It's a 14-inch impeller. This was 7-inch backing plate. If you made it maybe 8 inches, I don't believe you would have that problem. But anyway, what I did was I welded a bead back here to reinforce this this area back here out further. But it works really great now. It works really good now. I can spin it as fast as that motor will spin, around 3,800 RPMs, and it doesn't vibrate. It runs really smooth, and it really sucks the grass pretty good. But like I said in a previous video, I Loctited everything. I noticed without Loctite, this bolt here would stay tight, but my set screws would come loose. So I've got Loctite in all of that now. My motor mounts, they all have Loctite now. Actually, during my demonstration that I was doing on the video, I noticed that this thing was like tilting really bad, and so I reached back there with my hand to see what was going on, and I found out that all these bolts had came out except for one. There was only one bolt left holding this on, and it was barely hanging on itself. It was about ready to fall off. So I had to shut everything down real fast and find the bolts. But anyway, everything's Loctited down now, and it works good. I don't have to worry about that. Really, that's all the improvements that I've made. I did build this cage. I didn't really put it on the video. All it is, it's just an angle iron frame. It's 2 feet tall. It's 23 inches to the top of this. And I covered it with 1/4 inch, or I think that's 1/4 inch hardware cloth. And I use clamps to hold it down. Just small C-clamps to hold it down. I started out, you can see I used bolts to begin with, but they're kind of a pain, and I wanted to be able to put this thing on and take it off without really using tools. But like the tailgate, you can see how I raised the hinge up. I raised the hinges up on this thing an extra inch so that this thing would swing and it would lay down pretty good on the top, just like so. I put a little pin in there held with a chain to go into here. Let me see if I can. There it goes. I've got that thing too tight. Well, I don't have it lined up, but anyway, this pin goes right into there. Pin goes right into there, and right through that little hole. So the tailgate works really good. It's just when I tightened it down this time, I didn't get it all lined back up the way it's supposed to be. But anyway, that's the cage, and that's pretty much the improvements that I've made. So if I want to dump my leaves, all I have to do is pull that pin, raise up this tailgate, pull out my tailgate from the trailer, and dump it out. This thing will hold 45 cubic feet of grass and leaves. It's really big, and I can do my entire yard without having to dump it until I get finished. It's 3 feet by 5 feet long, and it's 3 feet tall. So that's 45 cubic feet, which is a lot of grass, because as you as you go and you're putting grass into here, it's blowing it in there, and it blows it all to the back and just works its way to the front. but it's packing in there really tight as you're doing this. It really packs in there tight. So I haven't painted this yet because I've used it a few times and I've got grass and all in here, and I'm gonna have to find some way to clean all of that out before I can actually paint it. But anyway, that's the improvements that I've made and the changes that I've made. And my biggest thing was the impeller, because that'll scare you to death when one of these vanes flies off of here and it hits up here and goes through and tears up your top. It makes a lot of noise. And not to mention the fact that the impeller is way out of balance at that time, and the motor's jumping around and everything else, and you got to get over there and shut that thing down. So but I got it fixed and got it rebalanced, and I think it's reinforced now to where it won't tear anything up. But I am going to go back and build a brand new impeller for it. I learned a lot on this one, and it's a really good prototype and it works fine. But I'm going to try to kind of refine it a little bit, make it look better, and maybe even work better. But yeah, that's it. All right. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this series on my leaf collector. Man, it really cleans up the yard good. I always have a lot of leaves, you know, in the early spring. I generally don't clean them up in the fall when they fall. I usually just wait till the spring and chop them up and rake them up, put them in my compost bins, and at that time I'm getting green grass with it too. So it really helps that compost bin do its thing for your garden soil. But I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this build. Got to do a lot of new things, like building a plug for fiberglass and doing my fiberglass mold and all that. Man, that stuff, it's kind of hard to work with because it cures up so fast, but especially if it's pretty warm like it was then. But it makes very strong pieces. You know, I've used this thing several times in the yard already. I've actually brushed a tree with it. With that, didn't break anything, which really surprised me that it didn't. But it didn't break anything. And that outside bottom edge, sometimes it'll scrub the ground a little bit. So I'll keep an eye on it and, you know, make sure I don't have any warpage and any, you know, abrasion getting wearing through that thing. But it'll be an easy fix. And you know, that's my first shot at fiberglass and Bondo and all of that. I'm just, I don't know. The paint job looks kind of ratty, but it's doing its job. It's protecting. So, but anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this project, and we'll see y'all down the road.